it. And it looks like Angie's getting this thing recorded, and we'll see if there's some things that might be of interest to you. You know, we've had a lot of people asking if there are presentations that discuss how all of our products work well together. And there are certainly pieces of presentations, and one that's actually I'm going to refer to a little bit tonight, but it's a Jeff Boast presentation with participation by Dr. Maroon that's now being posted. Just read what where Angie said it was so I can read it correctly. It's in the back office under product, and is called Jeff Boast, The Importance of Epigenetics. And there's a PowerPoint, and then I think in your app is probably there where you can listen to him talk about this. But I'm going to refer to that a little bit. But I want to talk with, basically started off by saying, talk about how these all work together. I'll refer to the quote that some of you probably talk about as well, and that's from Hippocrates, the father of medicine, who said that all disease begins in the gut. So I think that David Brown, the father of 4 children, can say that the inverse must also be true, that health must also begin in the gut, right? And so at a very basic level, since the gut is home to over 75 to 85% of our immune system, and is so important in helping us digest and absorb nutrients, at a very basic level, if butyric acid in link did nothing else but fulfill the primary role of fueling the colonocytes, or the cells that line the gut, so that there can be proper absorption and to keep bad things out, that would be by itself a really important thing. Because frankly, if you're not taking link, and if your gut is not healthy, even if you take genomics, even if you take Optimend, even if you take other things that are good for you, guess what? It's not going to get into your system as well as it otherwise might. So if there's no other synergy, that would be enough. But there's actually a lot more synergy in terms of how these things work. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to continue on with link a little bit, again, being the foundation of our health, the foundation of avoiding disease. And so in that presentation that you'll see from Jeff Boast, and you'll remember it, it's where he and Dr. Maroon talk a lot about epigenetics and the factors that go into, ultimately concluding that the primary factors in all of disease are frankly oxidative stress and inflammation. And so if you can reduce those things, then you're going to be a lot healthier. And one of the things they refer to are telomeres. Now, telomeres are these little things that hang off of our chromosomes, and they really have become accurate measures of lifespan, all right? And so when our telomeres break and become shortened, that's not a good thing. We want those babies to stay healthy and as long as possible. Well, in a study that's referred to in this presentation, it talks about how telomere length is affected by oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So when you think of the fact that oxidative stress is caused by any number of factors, including the food that we eat and the things we take into our bodies, if we can avoid some of those things and deal with them through the digestive process, we'll just reduce naturally the amount of oxidative stress. And there's also great synergy. We know that genomics, as a NRF2 activator, increases the body's production of what are called antioxidant enzymes. Well, guess what? So does butyric acid. Now, it doesn't increase things like catalase and superoxide dismutase like genomics does, but it also kind of double teams with genomics in increasing the body's production of glutathione, which is also a very powerful antioxidant enzyme that scavenges free radicals throughout the system. So there's we need a healthy stomach lining so we can absorb all good things. But from there, I want to take what might seem to be a right turn into something, a sharp right turn, which I don't recommend that Corey do right now while he's driving. But we're going to talk about my trip to the dentist yesterday. All right. I might say, well, that's weird. What's all that about? Well, you go to the dentist for your semi-annual checkup and cleaning. And when you're there, the hygienist, starts cleaning your teeth. And what is she cleaning? She's cleaning plaque or tartar. And just the word plaque's kind of a nasty term, right? I mean, nobody likes to think of plaque. And what is plaque? Well, plaque is soft, sticky residue, basically, that is home to billions of bacteria and leads to tooth decay and other things. Now, if that was all that plaque was, would be fine, because we go to the dentist, we get it cleaned off, we get it taken care of, we practice good oral health, and we're fine. But guess what? That's not the only plaque out there. In fact, it's probably the least dangerous and terrible plaque of other plaques that beset us. So for example, atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, okay, which leads to heart disease, is caused by a different kind of plaque, okay? And those plaques are also lipids and other things that fats, cholesterol, other substances that are in your body that actually it's Dr. McCord's opinion that they are oxidized lipids or fats and cholesterols that make them especially sticky and more likely to adhere to your blood vessel walls. Well, that's not a good thing. But so two of the synergistic things that work together are, one, genomics in terms of reducing oxidative stress so that those lipids, those fats, that cholesterol, C-reactive protein, other lipids like that, don't get oxidized. And so they're less harmful. But number two, guess what butyric acid does? Butyric acid also helps to avoid that buildup of the plaque in your blood vessels. It helps them so that these substances don't glom on together and then adhere to the walls, causing, essentially what happens is, it's kind of like the narrowing of a pipe. The pipe starts out at one diameter, and then it gets choked up with gunk, and whether it be mold or moss or whatever, and the amount of flow that goes through it is just restricted, and therefore the pressure on the other side is worse, increases. And that's really what happens in our blood vessels as well. Now that's bad enough, okay? But there's another kind of plaque that's also a bunch of sticky proteins that get together, and guess what they are? They're called beta amyloids. And beta amyloids are also referred to as brain plaque, okay? Now, I don't like the idea of plaque on my teeth. I don't like the idea of plaque in my veins and my arteries, but I really, really don't like the idea of plaque in my brain. But guess what? We have it. And our diet and other things cause it. And so these proteins come together, and one of the distinctive factors of Alzheimer's disease, a neurological disease, is the presence of these beta amyloids, these proteins in the brain. And guess what they do? I'll read with it. I'll read this, and you see what you think. How beta amyloid causes toxic damage to nerve cells is not quite clear, but some research suggests that it may split into fragments and release free radicals, we've heard of those, that then attack the neurons. Another theory is that the beta amyloid forms tiny holes in our neuronal membranes, which lead to an unregulated influx of calcium that can cause neuronal death. Regardless of the exact pathological process through which beta amyloid causes neuronal damage, the result is that neurons, our brain cells, die, okay? And as they die, our brain's capacity diminishes and reduces. So we know that, again, going back to oxidative stress and these free radicals that we referred to, if we can reduce and take care and scavenge those free radicals, we're going to be miles ahead. But again, going back to the interplay of butyric acid, just like it helps to avoid keeping these blood vessel plaques from grouping together, research also shows that butyric acid, as well as some of the other short chain fatty acids that the body produces, such as propionic acid, and there's one more that I'm forgetting right now, but those short chain fatty acids effectively serve to kind of prevent these proteins from glomming together and even becoming beta amyloids. So it's kind of like, so when I was at the dentist, the hygienist comes in and she has her tools, some of the old fashioned way is to like take those sharp tools and actually pick away tartar that's on your teeth. But she used something that was like, I think she called it hypersonic something or other, which basically kind of, I think it kind of like sandblasted this stuff off my teeth. And now, don't get me wrong, I do go to the dentist regularly, so it's not like I'm Mr. Grunge Mouth or anything like that. But nevertheless, and we should be talking about this, right, Coco, on the eve of Halloween, because we're all going to be, probably taking some stuff in that we shouldn't. But isn't it nice to have something that could kind of be like a, for lack of a better term, a brain floss, an artery floss, something that's dealing with these plaques that are building up in our system? I mean, it's amazing to me. And I think the fact that we have these products that reduce oxidative stress, reduce inflammation, and if we can take care of those things, there are some things that we just can't control. We are going to be subject to a certain amount of oxidative stress. Frankly, no matter, I mean, actually, we know that a certain amount is important. We couldn't live without oxidative stress to some degree. A certain amount is important for proper thyroid production, for example. So we'd never want to get rid of all free radicals. And we also wouldn't want to get rid of the two primary sources of free radicals in our body. What are they? Oxygen and food. Those breathing and eating cause the most free radicals in our body. So we probably don't want to stop either of those two activities. But we do want to make sure that we're minimizing those by not exacerbating the problem by bad things that we eat, our lifestyle, and those type of things. And what I'm talking about is if we can keep the stomach lining strong and increase the body's production of these of free radical scavenging enzymes, whether that be through the pathway that genomics takes or the pathway that butyric acid takes, well then as we're reducing that inflammation, because let's face it, inflammation is the body's one-size-fits-all tool to combat everything. Okay, if there's an insult, if there's an invader, if there's something, the body's response is, let's burn that sucker out. We're going to be inflamed, okay? And to some degree, that's okay. We need it, okay? But when it gets out of control, or when it's this chronic low-grade inflammation that we're not even aware of that we have, here's where Optimen comes in. If we can deal with these acute measures of inflammation that come in through oxidative stress, then we free up curcumin. We free up those curcuminoids to regulate those genes, those cytokines, in a way they're going to help more effectively deal with the low-grade inflammation. But if we have them fighting, things that are actually avoidable, at a certain point, no matter what we do, it's possible to overwhelm the system. And so that's why I think it's really so fascinating. And I think about this all the time. We did not, I mean, I got to be perfectly honest. It may sound like we're kind of geniuses in what we came up with. The fact that we have genomics, we have Link, and we have Optimen because of the synergistic way in which they work together. I would love to say that we spent all this time talking to researchers and we said, this is what we want to do. We know that the two main causes of illness and all these diseases, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all these things are inflammation and oxidative stress. So let's deal with them in these very interesting, disparate, and sometimes overlapping pathways in order to offer relief and opportunity for health in ways that nobody's ever done before. I would love to say that that's what we did, but we didn't. It's actually just dumb luck, okay? I'm raising my hand as the dumb part of that sentence, the dumb luck. And actually both sides. I'm dumb and I'm lucky. And actually sometimes, it's better to be lucky than good. And we've been pretty fortunate in terms of who we've been able to associate with. So I guess my point is, and I know we want to conclude this on a Friday night, I've been told to keep this short and sweet. I fit half of that sentence. I'm short, not always so sweet. But on that note, okay, I want you to say, as we go into Halloween, as we're thinking about tooth decay and all that stuff that sugar is going to do to our, just remember that plaque that might be caused by too many Snickers bars or candy corn. By the way, how many of you guys like candy corn? I'm going to go off on candy corn for a minute, okay? I don't mind candy corn. I mean, I have my limit. But my daughter-in-law brought some candy corn over, and I was looking at the ingredients. I expected, okay? There were things that I expected. I expected some cancer-causing food colors. I expected some high fructose corn syrup. You know what I didn't expect as one of the primary ingredients? Shellac. I'm like, shellac? shellac is, you can like eat shellac, and it's legal to put shellac in your candy corn. So I may have just ruined your appetite for candy corn, which is probably a good thing overall. Gil's like, man, I got to get rid of that candy corn. I have a barrel of that stuff. And I've been giving it to the kids in the neighborhood. I've been feeding shellac to the kids in the neighborhood. But nevertheless, as you're thinking about those things that might cause that kind of plaque on your teeth, I'm saying that is child's play compared to the plaque that wants to develop in your veins, the plaque that wants to develop in your brain. And so if for no other reason, will the trick-or-treaters remind you to take care of that other plaque by taking genomics, by taking Link, and by taking Optimed. I hope you all have a great Halloween. It's great seeing you. I look forward to seeing you all again. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye now.